Do you want to learn how to revenue forecast in the next 5 minutes? Then stick with me. I'm Natalie Cook with Finance Fight Club, and I am here to talk about one of my favorite things, which is revenue forecasting. You would not have guessed that that's my favorite thing to do, but I love revenue forecasting. I don't think a lot of finance people love it as much as I do. I think it is particularly my thing. If I was to, go out on a limb, it's how I started my business. It's what I like to do. I think about it a lot, actually, but it holds people up. It is a sticking point on I don't know what's coming in, I don't know how to do it. So if you are struggling with those questions, then this is for you. And I'm just going to give you some quick tips on how to think about revenue forecasting differently so that it doesn't become a blocker, because it's really hard. No one gets it right. I think that might be why I like it, is because there's no right answer and there's no wrong answer. It's just kind of, you do the best you can with the information that you have, and then you move forward. And it's the purpose of revenue forecasting, depending on what phase of business you're in, are to make decisions, to give you an idea of cash flow, to tell a story so that you can get investment, or to tell a story for your board members or your investors or your team. That's what it's for, to build a budget. But it is very different than budgeting, and we have a video on forecast versus budgeting. I'm not getting into the distinction here, but budgeting specifically, I think of as a kind of tops down approach of like, hey, we have this much per month. How do we spend that money? Revenue forecasting is just really the revenue piece of it, and how much money are you going to make, and how are you going to make that money? So there's lots of different ways to do it. So let's start with you don't have a business and you want to think about how much money that business could generate. Kind of like, I love doing this. So think of a business model, any business model, get a pen and paper, and you're going to think through who's going to buy the thing you're going to buy and how much are you going to sell it for. That's really all the things you need to get to. Now, it can take a long time to get to that answer. I love asking people that, because sometimes they're like, they have some crazy ideas, and I'm like, but how does the money flow? Because the money flows is how your business model works, right? If the money doesn't flow, you don't have a business model. So I can see a lamp in my office behind the computer. So I'm going to do lamp sales and forecast the lamp sales. Well, you're going to have to know, let's just say you're doing one lamp, because I realize now inventory-based products and revenue forecasting is going to be really hard to explain in this video. But lamps, let's say you have one style of lamp, only one type of lamp. You're not selling hundreds of lamps. You're selling one lamp. If you think about who's going to buy your lamp, let's just say you're going to sell it to Target, not an end user. The company is going to purchase, they're going to own the inventory, and they're going to sell it for you. So you have to think about how much you're going to price it to them, how much it's going to cost you to make, and then how much volume you're going to have in what period of time. So those are the factors, and you lay that out in how it makes sense for that business. So if you are going to sell an order of 1,000 units for $10 a pop in March, and then not do that again until July, that's your revenue forecast. Let's choose a different product or a service. Let's choose a membership. I like memberships for other reasons, but let's say you're going to start a membership. Who's going to buy your membership? They're going to buy it. It's one person to one member. How many members are you going to have? Is it a monthly? Is it an annual? And then you start to build up a ramp there. You can do that with anything, right? You're going to sell, you can do it, whatever. Keep it really simple. You do not need to make it complex. Let's go back to the lamps. Let's say you're going to do 10 lamp designs. Just to get a metric of like, how much money could this business generate? Choose an average price. It's on average going to be $50. On average, one customer is going to buy 2, or you're going to sell 1,000 units to Target, and that's it. You want to keep it super simple and understandable. Once you start to add 85,000 variables, there's no point, because you can change one variable and your numbers are going to be way off. That is not the point of it. Let's choose average contract value for a large company selling $100,000 contracts. Okay, well, the other factor to keep in mind with those types of businesses, you're going to have a ramp up to get those sales. So when you're thinking it's April right now, you're going to launch in January of next year, it's going to take you 9 months to get one contract. That's the timing piece of that revenue forecast. So timing, volume, average price, that's where you're going to start to play. Now let's think about a business that's been in business for a little while, and maybe you're 2 years old. So you don't have a lot of data to back it up. but you maybe have a pipeline of customers and you've kind of gotten to a squishy number for average contract value. So let's say you charge $5,000 for a service, and then you start to look at your capacity to provide that service. Then you start to kind of back into it that way. So you can say, okay, last year we did this much in sales, this number of contracts. Let's say you did 100 contracts, $5,000 a piece, and you have capacity to double that this year. Can you make that happen? So that's another way to kind of back into that number when you understand your capacity, when you understand you have some metrics, but you're not quite sure where the money is going to come from. The next layer deep, even in that two-year-old business or that starting out business or, well established, is what activities are going to drive that revenue. And then you start to kind of layer in that revenue forecast. So typically at the average contract value phase, the $100,000, $5,000 contract, you're looking at pipeline. What's your pipeline look like for those contracts? And then you start to dissect that and finagle it in a couple ways where you then are kind of getting to some concrete numbers that feel achievable. So can you get to $1 million of revenue? Can you get to $500,000 of revenue? Can you do it on $500,000 contracts? Do you need to raise your pricing, or are you going to get to capacity? So a little more complicated at that 2-year phase. But then let's take a different business where it's steady state. So, you've been running this business for 20 years, 15 years. There's not a lot of variables, right? The variables, let's say there's some seasonality and there's some issues there. You're really going to take the last couple of years of forecasts, adjust for any unknowns, and then reforecast based on that. They're not going to change that much unless you're going to invest in business growth. So there's those pieces of it are a lot different. So we have one that's a client's a doggy daycare. We're not revenue forecasting a ton. We're saying, hey, we need to get to this amount of revenue to keep it safe. Everything over that is great. This is how we're going to run with it when it gets there. There's not big growth plans right now. That's okay. You don't need to do that. When you're forecasting for growth, you need to understand all of the little pieces that kind of intricately go up to that revenue growth, and then put it in some model that you understand. So you can do it multiple ways. You can do volume times price times time. You can do it through, hey, we made it this much last year in April, so we think we're going to make this much plus some this April. Both of those are valid. Both of those make sense. If you're confused about revenue forecasting, book a call with me and I'm happy to chat through it with you. I can understand what I'm saying, but maybe it doesn't make sense. It's easier to lay it out on a whiteboard and talk about it that way. So maybe we'll do another video there, but thanks for coming today.